Hi everybody! Welcome to our live decluttering chat with Rachel Papworth from Green and Tidy. And what about dealing with other people's clutter? There's a big one for me with, you know, my daughter is quite messy and collects a lot of stuff.
It's really hard. I mean, you know, two people, or more than two people, but let's say two people living together, they're always going to have a different level of what they feel is clutter and what they're, you know, the amount of mess they're happy with. And so inevitably it's going to be a tension when you share a place with somebody. And if that disparity is very big, that tension can be really quite damaging. You know, like clutter causes a lot of arguments and a lot of upset, can even lead to divorce. And the sad truth is you can't declutter somebody else against their will. You know, if when somebody's tolerance for clutter is different from yours and they don't want to change, you can't change them. So you have to find a way around it and hope that you can inspire them to declutter. So what I say to people when they're living in, particularly someone who might be living with someone who's got hoarding tendencies, or even if they're living with somebody who's just got a much, much higher tolerance for clutter and mess than they have, you have to have some areas of the house that are yours. You know, you have to decide which bits of this home are going to be mine, and they are not allowed to mess that area up. So the space beside your bed is obviously yours. Yeah. You know, the side on your side of the bed, that's yours. They're not allowed to put their stuff in it. Yeah. In the communal areas, in the lounge, for example, you might even say half the coffee table is mine. You can't mess this up. Right. You know, a certain number of shelves in the cupboard are mine. And then if you want to keep those spaces empty, that is up to you, and they don't get to put their stuff in it. And if they do put their stuff in it, you just move it out. You don't have a big old argument about it. You don't call them in, what's that doing in my space? You just calmly move their stuff out of your space and hold that. You know, you've got a right to that space, even if it's empty. Just it doesn't mean they can just start flowing into it. You've got to kind of hold your ground. And then declutter your stuff. Declutter. We've all got clutter. It's really easy when you live with somebody else who's got more clutter than you to think it's their problem. Yeah. And they've got to solve it and you haven't. So, probably guilty of that one. Right. So declutter, and keep sharing with them how amazing it is that you've decluttered and how wonderful it is. And, you know, oh my God, I can find everything and I've made a bit of money selling this and I feel so free and it's been so cathartic, and then just really hope that it inspires them, but don't put any pressure on them. Yeah. And if they do make the slightest move to, you know, perhaps you could help me with my stuff, be willing to help them. Again, don't go, yeah, great, let's chuck it all out, you know, don't do that. But just be like, yeah, you know, be really supportive, and then hopefully maybe they'll catch you up a little bit. A gap in your disparity for your tolerance for clutter might narrow a little bit.
I did do some help my son with a bit of decluttering, and I was really surprised about what he considered of value. Yeah. Things that I would have thought I would throw that out. He was like, "Oh, I really remember this. Yeah. I definitely want to keep this."
And that's so important. Really See, I always say when one of the things people say to me at parties when they ask me what I do, and I say I help people to declutter their homes, they go, "Oh my God, you're not coming around to my house to make me throw everything away." And I always say I would never ever do that, because how do I know what's important to somebody? You can't tell, can you? This scrap of paper that, you know, with a scribble on it, which looks like nothing to me, might be the first drawing your child did, or you know, or I don't know, could be anything. Like, you know, this old beer mat might be some memory of, I don't know, when you were proposed to or something. You know, I don't know what's important to someone and what isn't. So it's you can't tell somebody else what they should keep and what they shouldn't.
Okay, great, good one. Okay, brilliant. Some great advice from Rachel. Is there any more questions out there? Otherwise, we'll wrap up with your special offer.
Oh yeah. But anyone who comments on the video can have 25% off my declutter paper and paperwork video course, and you get to learn, if you do the course, you get to learn. I'm so chuffed with this. Yeah. I'm going to do it. I've developed this 4-tray paper processing system. Yeah. They use 4 trays, and it means that processing any paperwork is an absolute doddle. It'll have you keep on top of your paperwork forever. I'm so chuffed with it.
I'm definitely doing that. Okay, we're going to wrap up now then. So thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.